In the Bible, there's some very awesome promises made to those who are in Christ. That phrase, in Christ, is common in the Bible to refer to those who've accepted Jesus by trusting in his work for them on the cross. The first time I played touch footy, I can distinctly remember subbing onto the field and feeling utterly and completely lost. I had no clue what to do. I had no clue where to stand. I certainly had no clue how to help my team play. If I had to sum up my main tactic for the duration of the game, I'd say it was probably be to just hope that the ball travelled as far away from where I was standing rather than towards me. I had the referee blowing penalties against me for over the mark and offside, but I had no clue how or why they were being blown. I was on the field, but I didn't know what my purpose was. The end result was I felt quite lost out there. On a broader and more important scale, there's a similar thing going on at times when we lose sight of or don't know our reason and purpose for being here, as in on the earth at all. Our reason for living, our direction to head, the thing we are meant to do, the things that we were made to do. In Jesus, the Bible holds out a real and active purpose for life. To live with real purpose is possible in Jesus. So let's take a look. In the years after Jesus' death and resurrection, a man named Paul wrote to a group of Christians in a place called Ephesus. It doesn't seem like there's any particular question Paul had been asked in writing this letter, but it's very obvious that Paul wrote in order to articulate the nature of the work of Jesus, the redemptive work of Jesus, the effects and the nature of what Jesus' death on the cross has done for those who place their trust in him. Today's verse comes from that letter, the letter to the Ephesians. Let's have a look at it. It's from Ephesians chapter 2, verse 8 to 10. For you are saved by grace through faith, and this is not from yourselves, it's God's gift. It's not from works, so that no one can boast. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared ahead of time for us to do. One of the big questions to wrestle with in regards to life's purpose, or is where it came from. Does the purpose that we're meant to have come from within us? Do we invent it or create it on our own? Or is it given? Does it come from somewhere outside us? Have we actually been made for a purpose that we can come to know, that's not in us to be worked out but given? In starting with verse 10 in this, we clearly see that there's a craftsman in the mix. See where it says, we are his workmanship. Who's the he? Well, it's God. It says that we're created. We are created in Christ Jesus. The verse even says that we are created for good works, which God had advanced in ahead of time for us to do. Now, before we get lost down the time tunnel in that verse, it's worth noting the creative activity of God for those who are in Christ. It says we're his workmanship. We are made for a purpose, good works, and that these good works are planned or prepared ahead of time for us to do. For the one that's trusted in Jesus, we understand that we haven't just been made for purpose, but we've also been provided with the environment with which to live them out. This is really important, it's really good. Those in Christ are not square pegs in round holes when it comes to their purpose. We are made for and fit for purpose. Another question that'd be worth asking here is, what are these good works? I mean, if we're created for good works, well, what are they? Well, the answer is probably many and varied. In fact, much of Jesus' words in the New Testament builds out on what those good works could be. Another one of Paul's letters perhaps gives us a little bit of a glimpse into what these good works might be. Let's have a look at 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 19. In Christ, God was reconciling the world to himself, not counting when I typed it up, we got that one wrong. Not counting their trespasses against them, and entrusting to us the message of reconciliation. Notice that for those who've been reconciled to God, they are now entrusted. That means given with care to do something with. The same message that saved them is the message that they're now entrusted with. You see, entrusted to us the message of reconciliation. The message that saved you, if you are saved, is the message you are now holding to give to the world. That's one of the good works that's talked about in our verse. The good works, one of them at least, is to share the message of Jesus with the world. There is this sense in each of us that we want to find what we're here for. Well, if the Bible articulates that there is a purpose, that we have been created for something, how do we get access to it? How do we get in on it? Well, our verse gives us a bit of a clue here again. Let's have a look at verse 8. It says, "For you are saved by grace through faith. And this is not from yourselves, it is God's gift." You see, for us to be in that reconciled relationship with God, for us to know God as Father, to understand that He's our Maker, to understand and start to begin to know what the good works is that He has for us to do, we need to be saved. And we don't get saved by doing the works, we get saved by a gift. It's accessible through faith. If you want to know and have access to the purpose that you are made for, place your faith in Jesus. We receive this relationship, we receive a fuller understanding of this purpose that we've been made for by a gift, not by our merit. We don't work out our purpose, we're given it. If we're not saved by works, then no one can boast. I don't know if you've seen one of those "you're doing it wrong" memes on the internet, like the one of the person who had their laptop screened to the photocopy because they were told it needed to be scanned to get rid of viruses. You're doing it wrong. Anyone claiming to be a Christian who boasts about how much God loves them because of how holy or virtuous or moral they are is doing it wrong. It's not the way God operates. God operates on the basis of grace given to us through faith. He gives gift. He invites all persons, including you, to place your faith and trust in Him and be saved, and to receive all the promises of God, including knowing and understanding and being fit for purpose. So that brings us to two big questions, really. Same two big questions we keep repeating each time we have a video together. What's the Lord saying to you? And what are you going to do about it? It's our usual practice when we read the Word, and I encourage you to apply it wherever you interact with the Word. We need to not just understand what Jesus is saying, but we need to actually enact it. We need to do it. We need to be changed by it. Perhaps today, in reading our verses, He might be compelling you to place your faith in His work on the cross. There is something that draws us back to trying to earn our way in this world. When we open the Scriptures, though, time and time again, we see that we can know God and be saved because of His love for us, not because of how much we do for Him. Perhaps today is the day you decide to trust in Jesus rather than yourself. Another place where the rubber hits the road with these verses is how much we seek to carve out our own purpose for life. The anthem of the Western world seems to be for us to all find our own purpose by creating it ourselves, by finding it within, by being guided by our wants and desires rather than our Creator's design. If you're a follower of Jesus, how are you going with understanding that as a Christian your purpose is given by God, not invented by you? Perhaps seeking more of God's plan and purpose for your life will release you into the type of life you were designed to live. Perhaps asking God to reveal more of it to you in the Word and in prayer is a good thing that you've been challenged by. Perhaps it's what the Lord is saying to you. Finally, perhaps the Lord has impressed upon you the importance of being a trustee of the message of reconciliation with God. God gives this message not just to a book, but He gives it to people. He puts it in the hands of people. It's in the Lord's pre-planned good works for us to share the message about Jesus with the world. Perhaps God is prompting you to take a step in sharing the message about Him with someone. Why not pray for an opportunity to do that over the next week or so? That second question, well, what are you going to do about it? This is the big question, isn't it? Where will these scriptures shape and form our day-to-day lives? What's the difference that it's going to make to be made for and given purpose and life and meaning for us? How is that going to change tomorrow? Let me encourage you to make a plan and speak to another Christian person about it. Understand what the Lord might be saying, but also roll it out in your life. It could be that you make a decision to trust in Jesus. It could be that you pray and seek the day's good works a bit more in the mornings when you get up. It could be to share Jesus with somebody. What is it for you? When this video finishes, stop, think, pray, hear from Jesus, then share it maybe with a brother or sister who can pray for you and ask you how you're going with it. That's it for today. This Hope Tree resource has been made to help you know and grow in Jesus. We would love to know if we're achieving that goal, so drop us a line or a comment or let us know any questions you might have about anything we've said. And also maybe like and subscribe to keep up to date with more content as it comes out. Bless yous.